Most people buy succulents thinking they're impossible to kill. They're wrong, and millions of dead plants are the proof. There are 4 succulents sold in almost every store on the planet right now: Echeveria, Aloe, Haworthia, and Jade. They look similar. They sit in the same section at the garden centre. They're even sold in the same little plastic pots. But here's what no one tells you. They do not have the same needs. Treat them the same, and you will lose them. Every single time. By the end of this video, you will know exactly how to keep each one alive and thriving for years. Stay until the end, because the tip I'm going to share about the jade plant alone will completely change how you grow it. Echeveria, the Instagram succulent. Let's start with the superstar of the succulent world, Echeveria. If you've ever seen a perfect rose-shaped succulent on social media, that was almost certainly an Echeveria. They come in over 150 species, colors ranging from pale green to chalky blue to deep burgundy. Some even blush pink when they get enough sun. And that brings us straight to the most important thing about Echeveria. They are sun addicts. They need at least 6 hours of bright light every single day. Put them in a dim corner and they will stretch, reaching desperately toward any light source they can find. This is called etiolation, and once it happens, it's permanent. The plant will never compact back down. You'll have to start over. So, bright windowsill, south or east facing, no excuses. Now let's talk about watering, because this is where the majority of people go wrong. Echeveria leaves are arranged in a tight rosette. If water pools in the center of that rosette and sits there, the crown will rot. The plant will melt from the inside out, and by the time you notice, it's too late. The solution is simple. Always water from the bottom. Set the pot in a shallow tray of water, let the soil soak for about 20 minutes, then remove it and let it drain. Never pour water directly into the center of the plant. And before you water at all, make sure the soil is completely dry. Not just dry on the surface, completely dry all the way through. In summer, that usually means watering every 10 to 14 days. In winter, Echeveria goes semi-dormant, cut back to once a month or even less. One last thing, soil. Standard potting mix holds way too much moisture for Echeveria. Use a cactus and succulent mix, or mix regular potting soil with 50% perlite. And always, always use a pot with a drainage hole. Echeveria in one sentence. Give it sun, water it from the bottom, let it dry out completely between waterings, and it will reward you with one of the most beautiful plants money can buy. Aloe Vera, the healer with rules. Aloe Vera, you already know what it is. You've probably rubbed the gel on a sunburn. But here's what most people don't know. Aloe is one of the most misunderstood succulents in the world. People assume it's indestructible. They water it constantly, and then they wonder why it turned brown, went soft and collapsed at the base. Overwatering is aloe's #1 killer, and it happens fast. Here is the rule. Water deeply, then wait. The soil should be bone dry at least 2 inches down before you water again. Stick your finger in if you feel any moisture at all. Walk away and come back in a few days. In summer, that usually means watering every 2 to 3 weeks. In winter, you might go 5 or 6 weeks between waterings, maybe longer. That sounds extreme, but aloe can handle it. What it cannot handle is sitting in wet soil. For light, unlike Echeveria, aloe doesn't want harsh direct sun all day. It actually prefers bright, indirect light. A south or east-facing windowsill where it gets strong light without brutal afternoon sun is ideal. If your aloe starts turning reddish or orange, that's a stress signal. It's getting too much direct sun. Move it back slightly from the window. Now here's the part that makes aloe special. It produces pups. Pups are baby aloe plants that grow around the base of the mother. When a pup has developed its own roots and is at least 1/5 the size of the mother plant, you can gently separate it and pot it up on its own. 1 plant turns into 2, 2 turns into 4. It compounds, free plants, indefinitely. Aloe in one sentence. Leave it alone far more than you think you should. Give it bright indirect light, and it will live for decades and hand you free plants the whole time. Haworthia, the low-light champion. Now we get to the succulent that breaks every rule, Haworthia. Every other plant on this list wants as much light as it can get. Haworthia evolved in the shade of rocks and shrubs in southern Africa. It actually prefers lower light conditions. Too much direct sun will turn a Haworthia red, orange, or brownish. That's not a pretty color variation. That's the plant telling you it's being burned. Haworthia does best in bright indirect light, or even moderate indirect light. And this makes it one of the only succulents that genuinely works in an interior room, away from a window, on an office desk, places where most succulents would slowly die. If you've ever bought a succulent for your desk or a room without great natural light and watched it slowly fall apart, you just needed a Haworthia instead. Watering follows the same rule as everything else. Let the soil dry out completely between waterings. But because Haworthia sits in lower light, the soil dries more slowly. In practice, you might only water it once every 3 to 4 weeks in summer and once a month or less in winter. Here's something genuinely fascinating about this plant. Many Haworthia species have translucent tips on their leaves, called windows. In the wild, the plant buries itself almost entirely underground. Only the windowed tips are exposed at soil level. Light filters down through those transparent patches and into the interior of the plant. It's one of the most elegant adaptations in the plant kingdom. You don't have to do anything special to take care of that feature. Just appreciate how extraordinary the engineering is. Haworthia, in one sentence, the only succulent that thrives away from the window, perfect for low-light spaces, frequent travelers, and anyone who tends to forget to water. Jade Plant, the living heirloom, and now the Jade Plant. I saved this one for last, and I meant what I said at the beginning. This tip is going to change how you grow it. Jade plants are the succulents that get passed down through generations. They can live for 50, 70, even 100 years. The jade you buy today in a small nursery pot could be a family heirloom by the time your grandchildren are adults. They're technically a tree. Young plants look like any other succulent, but give them time and they develop a thick, woody trunk that looks like a bonsai. The leaves are glossy and oval-shaped, and under the right conditions, the edges turn a deep red from sun exposure that looks absolutely stunning. Which brings me to the tip. Most people keep their jade in medium light, maybe a spot near a window that gets a few hours of sun. The plant survives, but it stays small, stretches toward the light, and never really transforms into that tree-like specimen you see in photos. Here is what changes everything. Jade plants need a minimum of 4 hours of direct sunlight every single day. Not bright indirect. Direct sun. A south or west-facing window in full sun is the goal. Move your jade to the sunniest spot in your home right now. I'm not exaggerating when I say you will see a visible difference within weeks. Thicker leaves, deeper color, more compact growth. The plant will look completely different within a season. The second thing that makes a huge difference: pinching. To make a jade fuller and more branched, simply pinch off the growing tip of any stem with your fingers. The plant responds by sending out 2 new stems from that point. Do this regularly on a young plant, and you will build a dense, tree-like structure instead of a sparse, leggy one. For watering, every 2 to 3 weeks in summer and less in winter. Same rule as the others, let the soil dry out completely between waterings. Jade stores a tremendous amount of water in its leaves, which is exactly why overwatering kills it so fast. Jade in one sentence: give it real direct sunlight, water it sparingly, pinch the tips to build fullness, and it will grow into one of the most impressive plants you've ever owned, possibly for the rest of your life. Let me give you the side-by-side before you go. Echeveria, 6+ hours of bright light, bottom water only, let it dry completely, best for sunny windowsills. Aloe Vera, bright indirect light, water every 2 to 3 weeks, bone dry between waterings, best for kitchens and bathrooms with good light. Haworthia, low to moderate indirect light, water every 3 to 4 weeks, best for offices, dim rooms and forgetful plant owners. Jade Plant, 4+ hours of direct sun, water every 2 to 3 weeks, pinch tips for fullness. Best for growers who want a plant that gets better every year. All 4 of these plants are asking for very little. The difference between a dead succulent and one that lives for decades is just knowing what kind of succulent you actually have. Now you know. Drop a comment and tell me, which of these 4 do you have at home? I read every single one. If this video helped you, a like goes a long way. It helps this channel reach more plant lovers who need to hear this. Subscribe if you want more videos like this. We cover everything from beginner plant care to fixing problems most people don't even know they have. See you in the next one.